On behalf of the Hopkinton Women's Club, welcome to the 33rd Annual Meet the Candidates Night and our very first virtual one. My name is Kathy Hebden, and I'm the moderator for the program. The Hopkinton Women's Club was founded in 1920 when women were gaining the right to vote. Each year, with the exception of last year, we organize Candidates Night to help all citizens decide who to cast their ballot for in the upcoming town election. We always welcome new members to the Women's Club and encourage anyone interested in our scholarship and community service organization to visit our website at hopkintonwomensclub.org. Our format begins with an opening statement from every candidate. Each one will have 2 minutes for remarks. The timers tonight include student volunteers from Hopkinton High. They will periodically notify candidates of how much speaking time is left. When necessary, they will ring a bell to signify the end of 2 minutes, and then we will move on. On to our first candidate, in alphabetical order, beginning with Select Board for a 3-year term, Muriel Kramer, Democrat.
Good evening, Kathy, and I'd like to thank the Hopkinton Women's Club, HCAM, and the viewers at home for this opportunity. My name, as you said, is Muriel Kramer, and my husband and I have been lucky enough to call Hopkinton home for the past 30 years, raising our 6 amazing children here, all of them fortunate enough to have benefited from Hopkinton's great public school system. Now we're in the very fortunate position to be welcoming grandchildren with 3 beauties already here and high hopes for many more to come. I have served in town government, including on the select board previously, for over the last 20 years, and I look forward to serving again soon on the select board, and I certainly appreciate your consideration for a vote and remind you that this year, so something different, we're voting on a Saturday, May 22nd. I'm dedicated to transparency, inclusion, and respectful exchange, especially when serving in a public leadership position. Our primary focus in the next few years will need to include ensuring financial stability post-pandemic, but also crucially, the mental health needs of our community, especially our children. To that end, I'd like to use my remaining time to encourage everyone here to participate in the upcoming bystander training sponsored by the Hopkinton Youth and Family Services, with the Hopkinton Freedom Team and others supporting that effort. There are going to be 2 bystander trainings to help with responding to difficult situations, developing conversational skills to cross the divide across difficult differences of opinions, and also just to make sure that people in the community know that you are dedicated to inclusion. There's going to be a session for high schoolers and college-aged youth, May 25 and June 21st. And one for the over 21 crowd on May 18th and June 9th. For more information, please contact info@hopkintonfreedomteam.org. I really encourage people to attend. I did the first training. It was very meaningful and very, very important for our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Irfan Nasrullah, Democrat incumbent for Select Board for 3-year term.
Thank you so much. I want to thank the Women's Club, HCAM, and everyone who's helped put this thing together. My name is Irfan Nasrullah. I'm running for re-election for the Select Board. I've served on the Select Board for the previous 3 years, and this past year I've been the Vice Chair. Prior to that, I served for 1 year on the Planning Board as well. I'm running for re-election because I think there's a lot of unfinished work and a lot of things that we need to complete. We have, as everyone may have noticed, the Main Street Corridor construction project, which I intend on seeing through. We are also working with school committee to help strengthen our schools. And, you know, I think one thing that we can't forget is after this pandemic, you know, we have a lot of issues that we still need to sort through and prioritize. So I think there's a lot of unfinished work that needs to be seen through fruition. And that is my main purpose for running for re-election. Thank you very much.
Thank you. For Board of Assessors, it's a 3-year term. You can vote for one, and the one candidate is Leslie Ficari.
Thank you, Kathy, and the Hopkinton Women's Club and HCAM for hosting this wonderful event virtually. And thank you to our Hopkinton neighbors for watching this evening. My name is Leslie Ficari. I am running for re-election for the Board of Assessors for a 3-year term. If you aren't familiar with the responsibilities of the board are, we support the assessing department in valuing our real estate and personal property and considering tax abatements and exemptions, and providing data and analysis for setting the annual tax rate in accordance with Massachusetts law. I have been honored to serve on this board for the last 4 years, working closely with other board members and John Neese, our principal assessor, and Ruth Anderson, our deputy assessor. I am proud to say that we led the efforts for the town to adopt additional veterans exemptions and senior tax relief. A little bit about myself. I am an HR executive and leadership coach. My husband and I have been active in the community and very much enjoy living in Hopkinton. We built our house and been here since 2001. Every year, I am just really amazed by my fellow candidates and the people who come out to volunteer their time and their willingness to serve our town. Again, my name is Leslie Ficari, and I respectfully ask for your vote on Saturday, May 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you. For Board of Trustees for the library, a 3-year position. There's one opening, and the incumbent is, Democrat incumbent is Stanley Polnick, who's not here this evening, but he asked me to read a statement. So I will read his words. Quote, I've decided not to participate in candidates night. I'm running unopposed, and I think the community is better served by devoting more airtime to the contested races. I'm disappointed that neither the opposing party nor an unenrolled candidate expressed interest in this position. While the Board of Trustees is an advisory board, we do serve the town by being advocates for and protectors of the library and the rights to free speech and freedom of expression. As we have seen in recent years, there are forces that would like to limit these rights. Our library is a crucial part of our community in building and supporting free speech, diversity, education, acceptance, and entertainment. I'm proud to continue to serve our community and support the library director and the incredible staff we are so fortunate to have. End of quote. The next position is Cemetery Commission, and this is a 1-year position, and we have one candidate, and Kyla McSweeney, Democrat, unexpired term.
Hello, welcome. Thank you very much for having me as new to serving in a role in Hopkinton. My husband and I have lived here for almost 14 years. We have 2 children, one in Hopkins and one in Elmwood. And as I said, this is my first time running for a position. I have served on one of the school councils in the past, but I'm excited to start my service here in Hopkinton. I've had a love for cemeteries since a child. I can tell you that during the pandemic, my neighbors, I live very close to the cemetery here in Woodville, and my neighbors and I have gathered on walks through the cemetery at many different times, and I'm just in awe of the historical treasures and significance that are in our cemeteries, and feel that we have a real duty to honor and maintain those. And I'm happy that the residents really see this as a place to honor their loved ones and reflect and just have some solitude in the midst of a crazy world. So I thank you, and I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you. The next position who is participating is Commissioner of Trust Funds for 3 years. There is one opening, and the candidate is Melissa Hayes, Democrat.
Hello. To start, I just want to thank the Hopkinton Women's Club, HCAM, and my fellow candidates for making this event possible. I'm running for Commissioner of Trust Funds, as was already said. I am a junior at Framingham State University. I'm majoring in political science, and I'm really hoping that this position gives me a chance to really, truly, and meaningfully give back to my community. Thank you.
Thank you. The next commission with candidates is Parks and Recreation Commission. It's a 3-year opening, and you can vote for 2. First up is Amy O'Connell, Democrat.
Hi, good evening. I would like to thank the Hopkinton's Women's Club and HCAM for hosting this event tonight, as it's giving me the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Amy O'Donnell, and I am running in the May election for Parks and Recreation Commission. My husband, Ed, and I moved to Hopkinton almost 8 years ago with our 4 boys. From the beginning, we knew we made the perfect decision in moving here. We were warmly embraced by the people of Hopkinton and appreciated the overwhelming sense of support, home, and community in this town. When we first moved to Hopkinton, our children were very young and our oldest was just starting school. Through the children, I've had the pleasure to become actively involved in many organizations within our community, including Hopkinton Lacrosse, the Integrated Preschool School Council, and the Religious Education Program at St. John's Church. When the pandemic struck last year, like many of you, it had a profound and introspective effect on me and reinforced my desire to help more. As a very passionate person, I decided to let my passions lead me again. Our 4 boys are very active in the many activities and sports in town held at the Parks and Recreation fields and facilities around Hopkinton. I would like to use my passion for sports to help the commission by focusing my attention on these youth sports and programs and ensure the highest quality of our town facilities for years to come. I'm an engineer by trade. I graduated from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute with a degree in chemical engineering and later received my MBA. My diverse professional career has spanned 20 years. I began at Intel Corporation in Hudson and later transitioned to working for the federal government in the Department of Veterans Affairs. Last year, I had the opportunity to also work in Hopkinton Middle School as the engineering teacher. I believe my experience will help and be an asset to the Parks and Recreation Commission. Thank you for your time, and I welcome the opportunity to work with the Hopkinton community.
Thank you. The next candidate is Daniel Terry, unenrolled incumbent.
Hi, I'm Dan Terry. I am running for re-election, the Parks and Rec Commission. I believe this would be my 4th term. I'm very proud of the accomplishments that we've had over the last, of all the accomplishments of the Parks and Rec Commission, from building fields to participating and help manage the high school fields. Looking forward to a lot of new projects that are coming on board. One of them is the dog park that is very close to beginning construction, and hopefully that will be completed sometime in June. Some of the projects we have coming up in the near future include the skate park. I know that we have also, so that's a significant project that's also supported by CPC. I've worked on a variety of different commissions, different committees with my obligations and my time at Parks and Rec. I guess one of the projects that I look forward to in my next term would be, we're getting a lot of requests for pickleball courts here in town. I think that's a great project because it's while we have a phenomenal school system here in town, it's something that would help attract and keep people here in town as they age and look for other activities. I look forward to serving for another 3 years. And I hope that you will come out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Planning Board is next. It's a 1-year position, and you can vote for 1. And the candidate is Francis DeYoung, unenrolled, unexpired term.
Thank you, Kathy. And also I'd like to thank the Hopkinton Women's Club for sponsoring the event tonight along with HCAM. My name is Fran DeYoung. I've been in town here for 15 years. Me and my 2 boys have had the opportunity to participate in the schools, participate in various town activities. I've served on a planning board in the past for a 5-year term, vice chair, a couple of those years. I served last year in a appointed position. And the reason why I'm running again, very simply, is I continue to have the passion. I love working with the town members, with the members of the town board, to kind of look at ways that we can manage growth and better manage growth as we move forward. I think we've also seen some things that have come out of the Growth Study Committee over the past 2 years that will look to be able to better manage some of that growth, continue to protect our open and green spaces in town, and really, I think, lay a groundwork and a foundation for the future of Hopkinton, looking at the zoning and bylaws to best support the combination, or the intersection, I should say, of development, personal space and property, as well as the longer term focus on maintaining the integrity of the town through the zoning, what the planning board can do. So when the voting occurs later on this month or next month, I would respectfully request your vote for planning board. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is school committee. There, it's a 3-year term and there are 2 openings. First is Amanda Fagiano, unenrolled incumbent.
Good evening. Thank you very much to the Hopkinton Women's Club and to HCAM for hosting this event. And thank you to all the candidates. I'm always inspired by everyone who steps up to serve. So thank you for coming tonight. My name is Amanda Fargiano, and I'm running for re-election to the Hopkinton School Committee. It's been both an honor and a huge responsibility to serve our high-performing district of nearly 4,000 students and about 400 educators and staff. And we're rated among the best in the nation and in the state. So for the past year, I served as chair, helping to steer the committee through the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic and all that that entailed. In addition, I helped lead successful contract negotiations with our superintendent and with our Hopkinton Teachers Association. To expand the support network for our school committee, I created a monthly school committee chair roundtable with area colleagues. And it's been a great opportunity to exchange best practices and concerns and so forth. Behind the scenes, I work to model sound and effective processes for the committee, and I've invested in growing our institutional knowledge. As chair, I've also tried to be responsive to the community communications while staying true to the voice of the committee. In service to the committee, I've worked hard to maintain space for transparent discussion and debate among members, and to allow for individual voices in our deliberation. As we emerge from the pandemic, the district is facing a pivotal time. We need both tactical near-term actions and strategic long-range planning to ensure responsible and efficient use of taxpayer dollars to support our growing student body and the evolving needs of our first-rate education. My priorities are assessing and mitigating the pandemic impacts, continuing to improve mental health and school climate for all students, continuing to identify and eliminate conscious and unconscious bias and racism, addressing growing enrollment while strategically improving campus infrastructure, maintaining and furthering the excellence in academics, and developing budgets that are reflective of our collective town and district priorities. After 3 years, I feel like I'm just getting started. With all that is ahead of us, I believe experience and continuity are critical, and I would be grateful for your vote on May 22nd.
Thank you. Next up for school committee is Jared Prey, unenrolled for the 3-year position, one of the 3 candidates.
Good evening. My name is Jared Prey, and I'm running for a seat on the school committee. Our school system is a source of pride for all of us in Hopkinton and a reason why many of us moved to town. I'll work to keep it that way. I've lived in Hopkinton for 16 years with my wife, Jessica, and 3 children. 2 are currently in Hopkinton schools, a kindergartner and a 3rd grader, and our 3rd is just over a year old and will be in the Hopkinton High School class of 2038. I actually did the math. I therefore have a strong vested interest in maintaining our excellent school system now and ensuring it remains that way for many years to come. After growing up in Massachusetts, I received my undergraduate degree from Bucknell University, a master's from Dartmouth College, and an MBA from Bentley University. I'm currently head of market access for a small rare disease drug company in Boston. This district is at an inflection point. I believe my background and experience uniquely position me to help the district address the most immediate challenges that we face, including to continue to navigate the challenges presented by COVID, along with the considerable impact that remote learning has had on all learners. I believe that the best place for our children to learn is in the classroom. With the recent and projected enrollment growth, we also must aggressively plan for future space needs. The MSBA's acceptance of Elmwood School into a period of eligibility is an exciting first step. Investment by the community combined with strong leadership has made this a top 10 district in Massachusetts. The next school committee must commit to maintaining the current standard of excellence in the face of financial headwinds. The attributes that have served me well throughout my career, the ability to synthesize and listen to competing opinions or data, yet move decisively, to think strategically and plan for the future, yet pivot as the situation necessitates, has prepared me for this role. My wife and I are both the children of public school teachers and both grew up going to public schools. We chose to move to Hopkinton on the strength of our schools, and now with 3 young children, we remain heavily invested in our school system. With my background and experience, along with my own passion for excellence in the school district, I hope to earn your vote on May 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you. The next candidate for school committee, the 3-year term, is Margaret Tyler, Democrat incumbent.
Thank you. Thank you to HCAM and to the Hopkinton Women's Club for providing the town with this occasion. I'm Meg Tyler. I've lived in Hopkinton for 16 years with my husband. We have 2 children. By day, I am a professor of humanities at Boston University, where I teach ethics, and I also run the poetry series. By night, and it's mostly been by night, I have been on the school committee for the past 3 years, working almost always doggedly in the company of really excellent volunteers, administrators, and educators, as well as in the company of the other town leaders. I love thinking about education. That's why I'm here. I love thinking about what most benefits the individual student, no matter what their background, no matter what their interest. I think primarily as school committee members, that's what we're here to do, to think about the success and the well-being of each individual child, which is taken into our care. It's also important that we support the teachers, that we support the parents, and we support the community. It goes without saying that it's been a really hard year. It's been really tough on all sorts of levels. But I think that by acting consistently and by persevering and continuing to support the administration, because we're still in the middle of a crisis, that we will forge ahead, and I think things will come out quite well. We do have challenges ahead, as the other candidates have said. We have a growing population. We need to enlarge our facilities. I think it's also worth noting that we spend on average in our town $1,000 less per student than most districts in Massachusetts, or than the average district in Massachusetts. And yet we provide them with a stellar education. So there are a lot of great things in place here. I'm also very concerned with expanding and enhancing our awareness of equity and diversity. And I think that equity concerns not just people of different backgrounds, but including neurodiversity too. I hope that I will be witness to some developments in our hiring practices, because I think that it would be great if we could have a more diverse faculty to reflect our student body. And I hope that will come with time, and I will support those changes. So I'd be grateful for your vote on May 22nd, and I'm very honored to be serving the town. Thank you.
Thank you. For planning board, we have David Paul, unenrolled incumbent, running for a 5-year position, one of 2 candidates.
Yes, hi, my name is Dave Paul. Muriel, thank you for giving me that heads up about speaking. I'm running for re-election for the planning board for 5 years, as Kathy stated. I've been in Hopkinton for almost 30 years, raised 3 daughters here. They have gone through the school system in its entirety, from kindergarten all the way to graduating high school. For my personal background, I'm an IT engineer. I've spent a great deal of time at two of the major retailers in the area, TJX and Staples. As far as my town service background, I've been on the planning board for the past 5 years. In addition to that, I've also past year or so been working with the Trails Committee, and also spent about a year or so with the Design Review Board. Some of the things that we've been working on is trying to, the planning board, and that I fully support, is trying to connect everyone in the neighborhoods and try not to have separate neighborhoods, and do our best to connect the people. I'm for development as long as it is done in the right way, and I think we're fortunate enough on the planning board to have a lot of zoning that encourages people to do it the right way. So I won't take much more of your time, but I will appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Board of Health. It's a 3-year term. You can vote for one, and the candidate is Regina Miloslavsky, Democrat.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much, Hopkinton Women's Club and HCAM, for hosting me. My name is Regina Miloslavsky, and I'm running for seat on Board of Health. I just wanted to introduce myself and give you a little bit of detail about my background. I have a degree, and I have a whole entire career in clinical speech language pathology at a hospital level. And in fact, during the pandemic, I was practicing as an ICU and hospital, TCU, ICU speech language pathologist who was treating 100% of COVID patients who had pulmonary and respiratory as well as swallowing problems. And I have been working also on transitioning from becoming a speech pathologist to becoming a physician assistant over at MGH. So I have an extensive clinical background, which essentially gives me very rich experience in the pandemic, the whole pandemic time, which I would like to use to further elevate our wonderful, splendid community's public health standards, and if not exceed and excel at them. So I would appreciate your vote on May 22nd for my candidacy for Board of Health seat. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Those are the candidates that are participating this evening, and it's now time for the second part of our program, the question and answer segment. If you have a question that hasn't already been submitted, you can send one now using the information at the bottom of your screen. Please include your name and address along with your question. Responses from the candidates will continue to adhere to the 2-minute time limit. If a question is posed to a specific candidate, I will offer response time to all others running for that specific office as well. Lastly, the privilege of being the first person to answer will begin alphabetically and rotate as subsequent questions are asked. We're ready for the first question. Ryan, are there any questions?
No, I've not received any.
Okay. Audience participants, viewers from home, please feel free to text any questions you have. I do have one that was emailed to me, and we can begin with that one. This is for the select board candidates and the school committee candidates. Describe one activity or committee, subcommittee you have been involved with in the town. What has it meant to you? How has it impacted the town? So we will begin with Irfan Nazrullah and running for school select board. Sorry.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the question. So I have now served on the planning board as well as the select board. So, how has that affected me? It has really given me the insight into how our town operates and how engaged our citizenry really is. It's been a wonderful opportunity just to see how people care about one another, care about their town, and gives me further inspiration as to how I want to help serve the town and meet those needs. It's like I said, I spent 1 year on the planning board. That gave me some wonderful insight into how projects get approved and the various personalities on the board, and moving it over to the select board. Although we have a partisan process, where you Democrat or independent or Republican, I just found it to be so overwhelmingly welcoming and a wonderful opportunity to, I guess, cross the aisle, but actually shake hands and work with people, the Republicans on the committee and I'm sorry, on the select board, and see that there's a lot of common ground. And what we all really care about is our town and supporting our neighbors. Thank you. I think
Thank you.
Stop there.
Muriel Kramer, candidate for select board. Would you like me to repeat the question? Or are you all set?
I think I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay.
Picking one role that I have participated in, I think that I'm going to dial back the time almost 20 years and choose the master plan update committee. One of the reasons that I really enjoyed that time, despite the fact that it was a challenging job, I think many of our committee roles and responsibilities are challenging, but very fun and very meaningful. I truly enjoyed the time on the master plan update committee because it directly involves stakeholder engagement with all the boards and committees in town and the people who are volunteering and spending time benefiting the community. And also it mandated interaction and stakeholder engagement with the voters and the folks living in town that aren't necessarily on the boards and committees. I really very much prize the opportunity to interact with residents and understand their priorities and try to work to honor those priorities and put them into action. So I thank you for the question.
Thank you. The school committee candidates will now answer the same question. We'll start with Margaret Tyler, Democrat incumbent.
Thank you, Kathy. As many people know, this winter I served on the full-time reopening planning committee for the school committee. And I worked with parents, some students, some administrators, and some teachers trying to figure out whether or not we could open up the schools safely for the kids, safely for the teachers. And as you know, all of us are suffering from a kind of collective trauma right now, trying to contend with all of the losses and stresses of the pandemic. But I think what really heartened me in that experience was the depth of research that each participant engaged in, trying to come up with the right and scientifically based answers, while also juggling the host of sentiments in the town. Many people wanted the schools to reopen fully. There was a group of people who did not want that to happen and preferred to keep things in hybrid mode. But I think, and of course I'm saying this only 3 days after we've got the middle school and high school back full time, I think we made the right decision. So far, so good. We've got all the kids back in school full time. And from what I hear, it's been a great success. And I know we didn't please everyone. And that was really hard for us because I think we want to make the community happy, but I think we also realized you can't always make everyone feel utterly good about the choices that we're making for the town. But we are listening and we really care about other people's opinions. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Jared Prey, unenrolled candidate for school committee.
Yes.
The same question.
Thank you. So for me, for the last few years, I have coached my daughter's softball teams, a couple of my daughter's softball teams. And, I think when you have that group of kids and you have, you get to see your own kid and you don't necessarily see her interact with her friends and her peers and out on the softball field. And when you see her out in the field and kind of interacting with her friends and how all the kids, they support each other and the fun that they have. And then when they do something right and one of them gets it, they all get excited and they all kind of get it. And it's just, I really enjoy seeing that with the kids. The flip side of that is, having a group of girls and, children of any age, but, and kind of coaching that big group, you really get an appreciation for the teachers, particularly at some of the younger ages, because, really enjoy the kids and, seeing them out there playing, but I can see some of the challenges that come with being teachers of younger children as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Amanda Fagiano, the same question, unenrolled incumbent candidate for school committee.
Thank you. So, am I good? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much. It's a great question. I think I've done things from coaching soccer to coaching robotics. I've served very gratefully on the HOP Coalition and on Youth Commission, but I have to say there's nothing has been as impactful on me personally as serving on school committee. The scope of the job is just so big. And the impact on the community, whether you have kids or not, is huge. Whether it's property values or how your students doing in class, or it's a really, really big job. And I think my first year, I served on the policy subgroup. First 2 years, I love doing the policy work. Again, some of the proud moments of passing policy that would support our LGBTQ students, provide all students a safe restroom in the school, something very, very basic that we all take for granted, but our students didn't feel supported. And so changing our policies to reflect that, it's been huge. This year, as Meg talked about with the pandemic, just the burden of the decisions about whether to open, listening to all of our community members and having to respond to the fear and the anxiety and the stresses on the homes, whether people wanted the schools open or closed. And then, falling back on data and just and really relying on information and experts to help inform our decision and do the best job we can. But school committee is a big, big, big job. And, despite the sleepless nights, I guess I'm here running again, but, I think it's definitely been the most impactful position that I have held.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions, so if there are no other questions, it's time to give the candidates a final opportunity to address the audience with closing remarks. Once again, there's a 2-minute time limit, and this time the order of speakers is reversed. So I'll go back and start with school committee and work our way backwards.
Kathy, can
yes.
I interrupt for just a minute? I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to sign off. I'm fasting for Ramadan, and it's about time for me to.
Oh, yes.
To eat.
Would you like to go? All right, let me go the other way then. Would you like to go?
No, I'm going to defer my time and allow some of the people who are running opposed have their opportunity to make their final.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, and it's been a wonderful evening. And I respectfully ask for everyone's vote. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Happy Ramadan.
Happy, right. I missed the opportunity there. So we'll start with the school committee, and we'll go back to Margaret Tyler for closing remarks, Democrat incumbent for the school committee 3-year position.
Thank you. It's been very heartening being in your company, even though it's virtual company tonight. I only see your faces in these little rectangles. I've really missed getting together at town meetings and events, and I hope we can soon. Again, I just want to say that I'm very grateful that you elected me 3 years ago, and I hope you'll trust me to continue doing what I do on the school committee, even though occasionally bats fly out of my mouth. I really am trying my hardest to do the right thing. And I'm just very grateful to be in this town and to have your support. So thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you. Jared Prey, unenrolled candidate for one of the school committee slots for your position, unenrolled.
Excellent, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the Women's Club for organizing this event, and then, really everybody for the time this evening. At the end of the day, I really believe that, with questions and conversations, specifically the school committee, the more kind of discussion and conversation, I think it just presents, it's really just best off for our district to continue to talk about it. So I look forward to that discussion over the next few weeks. Certainly some questions, and encourage, people to reach out to me. I realize I'm, kind of the new face here. So, we definitely encourage you to reach out, and I look forward to those conversations and look forward to the next couple of weeks leading up to the 22nd. Thank you very much and have an excellent evening.
Thank you. And Amanda Fagiano, unenrolled candidate for school committee, the incumbent for the 3-year position where there are 2 openings.
Thank you. So I haven't mentioned yet that I have been in Hopkinton for about 11 years. I have 2 boys that I've raised. One's a freshman in college, and the other is a 4th year in college. So I've really seen the K-12 experience and what it means, and what it means to students, and what life after high school is, what life after our district means for kids, and the different paths kids can take. And, the whole educational process is, it's amazing. We have a great school district, and I'm honored to be able to work in this position and do what I can through policy, budget management, working with the superintendent to serve the community and to maintain and improve and keep growing and changing our schools for the better. So, I think everything else has been covered. I really do welcome questions, and I know that the community is not shy because we've heard from them a lot this year. So please feel free to email me. I also have a Facebook page. I'm not much into social media, but I'm at Amanda for Hopkinton, I think is my Facebook. And I'm really hoping that, as Mr. Price said, that we have more dialogue. There's a lot to talk about with the schools, and I hope the community will continue to ask us questions. And I'm thrilled that we have a contested race. I think it's good for the town. So thank you to everybody, and thank you to the Women's Club, and thank you to HCAM, the ubiquitous HCAM. Always appreciated.
Next is planning board for the 1-year position. There's 1 opening. Fran DeYoung, unenrolled, unexpired term.
Thank you, Kathy. And again, thank you to the Hopkinton Women's Club for putting this on. I would just, encourage people to come out and vote, encourage people to continue to exercise their voice at town meeting as well. And then where there are questions and people have comments and thoughts about planning board and things about growth within the town, please continue to express those comments to myself, to other board members. We, as Muriel talked about earlier, I think communication and transparency is key. And I always would like to think that we as board members are here to help facilitate and listen to members of the town, incorporate their feedback to the extent possible into that planning process that I'm part of. So looking forward to everyone's vote on the 22nd of next month. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. The planning board has a 5-year position with 2 openings, and we have here this evening David Paul, unenrolled incumbent.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. As others have said, Hopkinton is a great town. There's a lot of dedicated citizens that volunteer their time. I've seen this over the last 5 years on the planning board. All the members are looking out for the good of the town. The planning board has to work with not only the applicant, which is usually a developer, but also with the neighbors in that specific development area. And we also have to represent the best interests of the town. So we have a good group of folks. We've worked hard in the 5 years that I've been doing this. We've solved a bunch of issues. We currently have an open issue with commercial solar. We're taking some steps to address that, and hopefully we can work that out and get what's done to the best of everyone in town. So thank you for your vote.
Next up is Parks and Recreation Commission for a 3-year commitment. And there are 2 openings. And we'll start with Daniel Terry, unenrolled incumbent.
Thank you. I'm looking, since it's a 2-person race for 2 spots, I'm looking forward to serving another 3 years. As I said before, I'm proud of what the commission's accomplished over the last few years, and it's been a pleasure to work with the people that I've worked with over the past few years. And I'm very, very much looking forward to the next year at least, given the makeup of the board and what it will be. I think it's a diverse group in a sense that we all have certain issues that we're more capable of discussing on Parks and Rec. And I think it's a really healthy way of moving forward with a committee. So thank you. Thank you for the time.
And next is Amy O'Donnell, also for Parks and Recreation Committee, Democrat.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you all for joining us this evening. I know this format may not be the ideal way to meet all of you, but I know we will be able to gather together soon. So muscling through 2020 has been a difficult task for all of us, but it's been an even larger task for the children in this community. Imagine looking back at your own childhood and erasing a full year's worth of memories because you could barely leave your house. To me, this pandemic will be over when our children can get back outside and make memories together again with their friends. My objective for seeking the election to the Parks and Recreation Committee is to ensure the kids of Hopkinton have programs and facilities that will help create those memories again. Programs that help them develop and facilities that they look forward to using. If I can leave you with one impression of me, I'd like to describe myself as consultative and collaborative. Those that know me know that I don't shy away from giving my opinion. However, I also know that it takes lots of opinions and ideas and hard work to see projects through to the end. I look forward to the May election and serving this wonderful community. Thank you.
You're welcome. For Commissioner of Trust Funds, it is vote for 1, and the 1 candidate is Melissa Hayes, Democrat.
Hello. I just wanted to say that I have lived in Hopkinton my entire life, so I'm really excited to give this service back to my community. I hope you all will vote in the upcoming election and will consider voting for me. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. For, let's see, we have for Cemetery Commission, there's 1-year position for 1 in Kyla McSweeney, and she's a Democrat, unexpired term.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say thank you again to the Hopkinton Women's Club and HCAM for giving us this opportunity and to gather along with my fellow candidates. And I look forward to meeting some of you in person at town meeting soon, hopefully. Thanks.
Thank you. Cemetery Commission for 3 years. The 1 candidate for the 1-year position is Thomas, let's see, Thomas Pratt is, I don't think he's here. Sorry about that. Let me go up to Board of Health. For 3 years, vote for 1, Regina Milaskovsky. I think I mispronounced that, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's very close. Thank you again for this wonderful opportunity, and thank you to my fellow candidates. It's so inspiring to run with you guys and to serve this truly best community in Massachusetts, if not the whole country. Every day, as a parent, every day I wake up and think, will my child be safe? Will he be able to go to school and see his friends and learn and not and kind of be present, and the answer is always yes. And I just want to contribute to this community by adding my clinical expertise and elevating the public safety practices to the best practices, to make this community shine further way. And I just hope to actually be involved more as a member of Board of Health with a public school committee to sort of forge a relationship and bridge the gap to further make it a safe community. Thank you very much, and I hope you vote for me on May 22nd.
Thank you. For Board of Assessors, the 3-year position, the one candidate is Leslie Fakari, the Democrat incumbent.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for this wonderful event. As I'm listening to everybody, it reminded me, I was thinking of my mother, who was a civics teacher and an English teacher. And so I learned very early on about voting and voting being a sacred right in the United States. So I hope to see many, many Hopkintonians come out and exercise their right to vote in this local election. And I respectfully ask for your vote to continue on the Board of Assessors. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, for the Select Board, the 3-year commitment, one of the candidates, the other candidate is Muriel Kramer, Democrat.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, the Women's Club. Thank you to my fellow candidates as well. One of the best parts of this town has always been the engagement of its residents and the ways that that engagement has made our town better. I've been involved for a long time, and I have always been impressed with the level of engagement and involvement and the ways that my fellow residents really move us forward. So I'm just going to remind people that town meeting also has a special town meeting included. That is on a Saturday again, Saturday, May 8th. The town election is May 22nd, also a Saturday. And I want to thank you for your time and attention, this opportunity tonight. Really looking forward to the opportunity to serve on the Select Board, and a little wistful about leaving the Planning Board because it has been a really wonderful engagement there. Take care, stay safe, and we hope to see you at town meeting and the election. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the Hopkinton Women's Club, I want to extend a special thank you to all the candidates who participated in this evening's program, and to all the at-home viewers for joining us tonight. I also want to acknowledge the HCAM TV staff and crew for making this broadcast possible. Their expertise and patience was especially invaluable to me. Additional thanks go out to the Women's Club members, the 3 high school students who also volunteered, and the town clerk. I hope this presentation was informative, and I encourage all registered voters to vote in our upcoming town election on May 22nd. All Hopkinton precincts vote at the middle school between the hours of 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. Absentee ballots are available at the town clerk's office. That concludes our presentation. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.